Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and this battler just did the impossible. This trainer just hit rank 70 in the world on the GO Battle League leaderboards with a great league WAILORD. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Give Me Your Arms, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now this trainer was running a very spicy team, just looking to have some fun after hitting Legend, running Grimer, Blastoise, and WAILORD, and was able to go on a crazy run with the team. Now this is not a team that's recommended for climbing, but this battler was able to get wins anyway. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and it's a negative lead in game number 1, leading Grimer into Lapras. There's a safe switch into Blastoise, Lapras staying in this matchup, and the Blastoise is going to make the Skull Bash as the opponent is going to make a quick switch into Shadow Jumpluff. But Jumpluff still takes pretty significant damage from that Skull Bash. Jumpluff is going to be firing off energy. Blastoise is going to commit the first shield, as this is actually an Energy Ball Jumpluff. Energy Ball Jumpluff, definitely more of a dying breed here, as we're going to see the Hydro Cannon and the Farm Down. But it really worked out to shield. Back in comes the Lapras. Lapras will need a Skull Bash if they want to pick up the KO. They are not on Skull Bash, so now they're going to have to deal with the Blastoise that is about to buff its defense up to +2. Skull Bash is going to connect. That's a CMP tie as well. Sparkling Aria does nothing to the Blastoise. In comes Claydol. Blastoise will be able to grab a shield, and then it's time for the star of the show, WAILORD, to hit the field. WAILORD is such a massive Pokemon that it is taking up almost the entire battlefield just by itself. WAILORD farming up and now going to fire off this Surf. Surf will inflict some pretty solid damage onto the Claydol. Claydol is going to commit the shield. No, did they just CMP tie WAILORD? Surf connects. They CMP'd the WAILORD. Oh no, the opponent loses all ability to farm down. They undercharge the Rock Tomb, Switch Clock's available, and back in comes the Grimer. Opponent gonna switch into Lapras, hoping for a catch, but the catch will not happen. And Grimer is gonna be able to take game number 1 with a Mud Bomb. Down goes Claydol, and that's a good game. We move into battle number 2 of the first set. Grimer picking up a very nice lead leading into Credilli. Credilli is staying in, and catching a grass type on the lead, it's so important for this team considering there's 2 water types in the back. Sludge is going to be shielded. Opponent going to look to return fire with a Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to be no shielded. That does quite a lot of damage. Grimer is going to make it to Sludge number 2. The opponent not playing to the CMP tie. They do want to exit with some residual energy in this matchup. Grimer continues to farm. Tough call to make here, but honestly, I like the decision to shield. You really do not want Credilli seeing this backline. Sludge is going to be reached, and that one is going to be on a CMP tie. Sludge is going to be shielded, and I think at this point, you just let the Grimer go, and that's exactly what he's going to do. You have the Credilli very low, and you have it without shields. So now Blastoise can hit the field. Credilli farming up here. Opponent is going to switch out and make a very nice catch. They're able to save that Credilli, making a catch onto Shadow Jumpluff. Shadow Jumpluff farming up energy, going to fire off a charge attack, and we will see a no shield from the Blastoise. This Jumpluff is going to go for an Aerial Ace bait that gets no shielded, and Acrobatics would have been massive damage, but instead, they're just getting hit with the Skull Bash and a rollout farm down. WAILORD up a shield, gotta be decent and back, and it is, as the third is going to be a Claydol. Claydol going to be hit with the Hydro Cannon. Blastoise gonna stay in. We're gonna see a switch and a catch by the opponent, sacrificing Credilli, but Credilli was their only hope of ever beating WAILORD. Now WAILORD hits the field. Claydol is going to concede the match as they realize there's just nothing they can do. We move to the next match, and it's a bit of an awkward lead, leading Grimer into Shadow Jumpluff. Now, I have played this matchup out as the Shadow Jumpluff, and Shadow Jumpluff can survive a Sludge, and obviously Mud Slap is triple resisted, and Acrobatics is going to inflict insane damage. We're actually going to see a nice catch by the opponent, catching a Sludge onto Lapras. Lapras is going to be met with the Blastoise, but it's going to be tough work to get rid of that Jumpluff later in the match. Lapras is going to fire off some energy, and Blastoise with an immediate no shield, as Sparkling Aria is not particularly threatening. Nice overfarm here by the Blastoise, trying to max out on energy before connecting with the Skull Bash. Skull Bash is going to land, and down goes Lapras. The opponent going to send back in the Jumpluff. Blastoise trying to get to the Skull Bash, and is able to get there. Skull Bash will do a solid chunk of Jumpluff's health. We are going to see a shield from the Jumpluff. This is a double boosted Blastoise. Blastoise with the no shield. Opponent is going to full send the Acrobatics to pick up the KO. Back in comes Grimer. Grimer able to get the Sludge. Sludge will do massive super effective damage here. The opponent is going to no shield in the back. They have Feraligatr, and now we have the battle of water types in the end game. Feraligatr versus WAILORD. WAILORD, where do you use your shields? Hydro's resisted, but it's a Shadow Feraligatr. We are going to see the shield, but it's going to be Hydro Cannon number 2 coming out from the Feraligatr. This one is going to be no shielded. WAILORD now getting quite low. WAILORD full sending the return, hoping Feraligatr tries to call the bait. Return is going to connect. Back in comes the Jump Pluff. Back in comes the Jump Pluff. WAILORD commits the shield. They go for the acrobatics. That is going to be shielded, and WAILORD is able to get that farm down. And this set is now 3-0 with WAILORD on the team. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Grimer into Shadow Pidgeot. The safe switch into Blastoise. Pidgeot is going to stay in here and fire off an Air Cutter. Air Cutter, not a particularly powerful attack, does have a chance at boosting. Air Cutter boost does not come through. Blastoise farming up a ton, trying to CMP tie, but the opponent goes for the extra. And now they get an entire free gust of energy and damage. But the opponent doesn't undertap. They let Blastoise make the Hydro Cannon. Blastoise now forces a shield advantage. Opponent tries for a full farm down. They were not aware of the Blastoise energy. That's going to cost them switch and a ton of energy on the Pidgeot. In comes Corviknight, but Corviknight's never farming anything down. Blastoise was so low, but it's able to get a last second Hydro Cannon. And now it's going to be time. WAILORD hits the field. These rollouts slowly adding up. Corviknight is going to fire off a charge attack. WAILORD no shields. It's the payback, and that's going to do some pretty significant damage. WAILORD at the back-to-back Surfs. Is Surf going to be enough to knock Corviknight out of the sky here? Surf is going to pick up the KO. In the back, it's Carbink. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Looking for the 5-0 set, but what a nightmare lead leading into Gastrodon. The safe switch into Blastoise, but this team is so weak to Gastrodon. This is going to be an absolute awful situation to work out of. The Hydro Cannon is going to land, and that is very, very valuable chip damage. Gastrodon is going to fire off some energy here. That's going to be the Earth Power. Getting that shield call right is nice, but unfortunately the opponent does actually get the defense drop. Full set of the Skull Bash, hoping for the no shield and the knockout, but the opponent reads this battler like a book, committing the shield and now playing to the CMP tie. They need the Earth Power to knock out here, and that's exactly what they're going to go for. And this Gastrodon is just absolutely destroying this team. In comes the WAILORD. WAILORD is going to fire off a Surf, trying to finally get rid of Gastrodon. Gastrodon is finally gone. And now we have the battle of the rollout users. We have Dunsparce versus WAILORD. WAILORD is going to full send the return, hoping it can connect, and it does. That's big damage onto the Dunsparce. Dunsparce, it doesn't get same type attack bonus with its charge moves, so its charge moves are not going to hit very hard. So WAILORD can actually survive one. It's going to no shield the second as well, and the hope is that Grimer will be able to sweep in the end game. Grimer looking for a full farm down, going to be shielding up the drill run. What does the opponent have in the back as their final Pokemon in the back? It's Talonflame, and this game is unfortunately going to be a loss. The Talonflame managed to dodge the 2 rollout users, and we will see this battler resign the match. We move to set number 2. The lead now switched to Swalot, so a new poison type, but it's still the same double rollout water backline. The safe switch into Blastoise. Talonflame gonna stay in this matchup, but they take a ton of rollout damage to do so. They're gonna full send a Brave Bird. Now there's gonna be a switch out into Azumarill, and Blastoise can begin to ramp up its defense with an immediate Skull Bash. Azumarill is going to no shield. They can survive a second Skull Bash pretty comfortably, but Blastoise, now that it's ramped up, is going to tank the Play Rough a lot better than it typically would. So the Play Rough is going to land. Blastoise now opting for a bait, hoping the opponent is going to commit the shield here. The Hydro Cannon bait is unsuccessful. Can Blastoise get to the Skull Bash? Yes, it can. So even despite the bait, that damage was actually needed for the Skull Bash to KO, and Blastoise flips switch. In comes Drapion. Oh my goodness. And switch was everything here. If the opponent kept switch advantage, they were in a pretty nice spot, but losing switch means that their Talonflame is going to get stuck on a WAILORD later in the game. In comes Swalot. Swalot gets its mud shot denied. You absolutely hate to see it. The Crunch does get a defense drop. That means that, I mean, this crunch is still survivable, but not by much. The crunch is going to land Swalot deep into the red. Swalot is just losing all of its available HP here. The Aqua Tail is going to be shielded. There's the switch into the Wailord. Wailord able to outpace and get to the Surf. But Talonflame will make it to a Brave Bird, and that is going to be a problem. Brave Bird into the Wailord. I don't think Wailord's hanging on here. Brave Bird. Wailord 1 HP. It survives. Oh my goodness. And that's game winning because the rollout KO'd. Ice Beam into the Drapion plus a Mud Shot picks up the KO. And that's one of the crazier wins that I have ever seen. We move to the next match, and it's a bad lead Swalot into Malamar. Not a great response available, so just gonna send in the Blastoise. This Blastoise just has a ton of neutral play into everything across the board. Blastoise committing an early shield, anticipating the superpower and dip, and there it is. Opponent dips into a Lapras, so they don't have a great response to a Blastoise switch in. Skull Bash is going to be shielded, but now this Lapras is going to have to contend with the fact that this Blastoise is taking a lot less damage than it typically would. Lapras firing off energy. They will need a Skull Bash. Sparkling Aria not going to cut it. It is going to be the Sparkling Aria, and for Blastoise, another opportunity to boost its defense with Skull Bash. Skull Bash is going to land. Lapras deep into the red, firing off a last second charge attack. Blastoise committing the shield, selling out for switch advantage, but the opponent makes a last second charge attack. Will Sparkling Aria flip swap? No, Blastoise 1 HP, able to hang on, winning switch. In comes the Malamar, and it actually may not have been 1 HP there because the Hydro Cannon did connect, and the Blastoise did not get KO'd by one Psywave. So it looks like it was actually slightly more than 1 HP. In comes the Wailord. Wailord going to be hit with a superpower from the Malamar. There's going to be the switch out. It's Clodsire in the back. Clodsire going to be met with a Surf from the Wailord. That's going to do some pretty nice damage. Wailord making it to Surf number 2. We know this will not knock out, but it will get the opponent quite low. There's the shield from the opponent. Wailord staying in, forcing energy from the Clodsire, and we will learn what Clodsire's bait move here is. It is going to be a Sludge Bomb, Earthquake, Clodsire, and now Swalot hits the field. Swalot is going to be hit with an Earthquake, but it can survive this. Swalot is notoriously bulky. There's the switch into Malamar, and Malamar will immediately be met with a Sludge. Sludge is going to pick up the KO. It's going to be a race. Clodsire versus Swalot. It's a CMP tie. Swalot with the higher attack stat gets the move, knocking out Clodsire and able to secure an incredibly close win. We move to the next match. Incredibly tough opponent. We're going to see Blastoise on the lead for the opponent into the Swalot. Now Blastoise will be able to output quite a lot of pressure. We see an attempt at a catch, but unfortunately it is not to be. Hydro is going to connect onto the Swalot. Swalot overfarming massively. We see a save switch into the Blastoise, but great patience by the opponent holding on to their energy. And now they will get to fire off a Skull Bash, but no, they bait with the Hydro Cannon. A savage bait from the opponent, and this is going to be a very tough game. Blastoise looks like it was a CMP tie. Skull Bash is going to connect. That's some pretty nice damage. This Blastoise is now boosted, which means the Hydro Cannon not going to do a lot from the opponent. Out comes a non-Shadow Jumpluff. Just looking to apply some damage here, just going straight for the Hydro Cannon. Looking to get whatever damage is possible because that will put it in a range where Swalot can potentially pick up the KO. Switch timers were misaligned. Ice Beam is going to be shielded. Swalot is going to get the Ice Beam number 2 and win the CMP tie over the opponent. Ice Beam, a double shield from the opponent. Swalot, does it decide to shield here? Yes, Swalot is going to be shielding up the Acrobatics. But the switch timer should be available for the opponent after this next charge attack. We are going to see Jumpluff go for the Acrobatics. That will not KO. There's the switch timer, and Sableye is going to be hit with a Sludge. Unfortunately, Sludge does not do a lot to Shadow Sableye, but with the switch clock not available for Give Me Your Arms, he was just forced to throw that energy or lose it. In comes the Blastoise. Blastoise will be met with a foul play. The foul play KOs. That is tragic. Blastoise unable to get a move. In comes Wailord. Wailord has a tall task ahead of it. Foul play will connect. Wailord farming up a ton of energy, trying to maximize the energy gains, and now will pick up the KO with the Surf. But there's still 3 Pokemon available for the opponent, and Blastoise banked a move from earlier. So no miracle win cons this time, as Sunglasses Blastoise will take the game. Hopping into the final match, another tough opponent rise to the occasion, but a good lead. Swalot into Shadow Primeape. There's a save switch into Shadow Drapion, and it looks like so far, Swalot doing a lot of core breaking into Rise's team. Crunch is going to connect. banking the energy, and now there's a switch into Blastoise. Now this matchup I'm not too familiar with the regular Blastoise. I know a high rank Shadow can win the 2s as long as there's no crunch debuff. There is a crunch debuff applied. That is unfortunate. Blastoise returning fire with the Hydro Cannon, and we will see a shield from the Drapion. Blastoise correctly predicting that Drapion would do 4 in the move, just throws on alignment. Hydro Cannon is going to force the final shield from the opponent. 2 in the move from Rise, because he knows this second rollout will not register since the Blastoise is getting knocked out. In comes Swalot. It looks like Drapion may have stuttered there for a turn, and now it's just getting KO'd, so it's going to lose that energy in the back. It's going to be the 2-shield WAILORD up against a Corviknight plus Primeape core. Shadow Primeape is going to go for the Rage Fist. That is going to be applying quite a bit of pressure to the WAILORD, but WAILORD's going to get the return. Let's see the damage. Hello, Primeape. Goodbye, Primeape. Back in comes the Corviknight. Corviknight, this is its worst nightmare. Corviknight needing to farm something down, and it's often never really able to do that. Corviknight fires off some energy. We're going to see a shield from the WAILORD as WAILORD is going to make the Surf. Surf is going to be getting this Corviknight very low, but I don't think it'll be enough to KO. There's the switch into Swalot. Swalot committing the shield, and Swalot should be able to get to the last second sludge here on very low HP, and the opponent is going to resign the match. All in all, big congratulations to Give Me Your Arms. Getting 70th in the world in the Open Great League with a WAILORD is an absolutely insane accomplishment. He mentioned in the battle submission notes that he really likes Blastoise. He feels Blastoise is unbelievably powerful at the moment. So he basically tried to run 2 Blastoise. And in a way, I guess you could consider WAILORD as a slightly off-brand Blastoise, where it has Rollout as the fast move. It has a water-type bait move, Surf obviously instead of Hydro Cannon, and since this is Purified, he has Return instead of Skull Bash. Even though I mentioned at the start, this is a team that I would not recommend for elo climbing, it goes to show that if you think outside the box and find a particular typing combination that the meta is overall weak to, you could run spicier mons and have success. Like in this instance, something that I identified in a video a few days earlier, Shadow Blastoise just being extremely free as a safe swap. It looks like Give Me Your Arms identified a similar meta weakness, where this rock, water, and normal coverage just breaks a lot of teams. So we put 2 of them together, put a poison type on the lead, and raked in the wins. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.